All right. Welcome, Mr. Kyle Gupton.
Thank you, sir.
My brother.
Thank you, sir.
We always start out with a little prayer just because we got a purpose for being here. We're not here to gossip. We're not here to spread the rumors. We're here to achieve a purpose, and we're here to talk about things that this is a private meeting tonight, but hopefully and eventually, with God's timing, this will become public. And the things that we talk about here, for the good and the bad, we hope that someone will hear it and it will be a help to them. So, Father God, we thank you today for April 8th, 2022. We thank you for this meeting of friends and family. Thank you for the opportunity you've given us to come together with like minds to discuss life and the challenges and the victories, and hopefully figure some things out. And everything that we do here will go to your honor and your praise. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen.
All right. Welcome. What up? Big Suge in the house. Welcome to How Did We Get Here?
I love that title.
Like that. How did we get here? I'm Drae. It's my man Big Suge. And this is the podcast that you come to when you want to hear from the experts, the professionals at nothing. We're professionals at nothing. We're not experts. But we do live everyday real life. Families, children's, bills, job, ups, downs, everything that we're dealing with in this crazy world today, we're doing it every day. And we just want to talk about it. You know, we want to talk about life, the victories, the challenges, like I said, the ups and downs, and those times in your life, whether it be when you're on the top of the mountain or down low, and you look up and you say, how did I get here? You know, sometimes life is like that, and you have to, we're here to try to figure it out. And usually, I would talk about, oh yeah, we're excited to have this guest here and, you know, to have another guest on the podcast. But today, I would say that we are honored. We are honored and privileged to have our guest for today. Today we got a young man from Ypsilanti, Michigan. That's one of the times that I'm proud to say that I had something to do with Ypsilanti, man. I went to Eastern.
That's right, Eagles.
I went to Eastern for a few years. You know,
really?
We went up to Eastern. We was roommates up there. And so we tied into your Ypsilanti roots that way. Ypsilanti, Michigan. He didn't stop there. His gift, his dedication, his passion, his I shall has taken him around the globe. And it seems like he's never blended in where he went. He's always been a standout and always made a name for himself. So I'm going to just read off a couple of accomplishments. It's going to sound Steph Curry-ish. You know what I mean? It's going to sound LeBron-esque, if you will.
I'm honored to be in y'all's presence, just letting y'all know.
First of all, let me welcome Kyle Gupton.
Appreciate it.
Welcome, Kyle Gupton.
Thank you.
So we got here a pro basketball league, not the JCC, not the Lifetime Fitness. Pro basketball league where they pay you to play, scoring champion, 2-time cup champion. As of last year, over 2,000 career points, most valuable player, league all-star player, male athlete of the year, Kyle Gupton.
I'm gonna say it again. I'm honored to be in y'all's presence. Just letting y'all know.
Well, we glad you're here, man.
I just felt the energy when I came in here, and it felt like y'all too. I felt like I met y'all before. So
yeah, for sure.
That's how it's supposed to be.
I love it.
That's how it's supposed to be, man. Welcome. Like I said, I read the list of accomplishments. You're from Ypsilanti, Michigan. That's about 45 minutes away from where we are. let's be honest. In Ypsilanti, Michigan, with all these accomplishments coming up, you had to be like one of the biggest things happening in Ypsi at some point.
Yeah, I'm humble, so I'm never gonna say that. I come from a basketball family, so both my brothers played college, played professionally. Got cousins that played collegiately and professionally as well.
Okay.
So I started at a really young age. My first initial sport, believe it or not my first, but it was basketball. Then I switched over to baseball. I don't know why. No disrespect to baseball. I think it's cool.
Baseball, good game.
Yeah, but I think I just enjoyed hitting the ball over the house. I think that was my thing. But I saw how good my brothers were, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go back to basketball, and played in leagues starting at 8 years old. And
so you're the youngest of the three brothers?
I'm the youngest and the shortest.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I'm 6'2", and my brothers are like 6'6" and 6'7".
Okay.
So
you got the baby brother, the little man complex at the house.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
But the younger brother always do it better than the bigger brother.
Right from there.
I like that. There you go.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I was talented definitely at a young age, and growing up, still was talented. I feel like my peak came in college.
Okay.
I feel as far as talent wise, I think that I was just in a better situation and circumstance where they really allowed me to succeed and excel.
You had the green light.
I had the green light, and in fact, I had the green light so much that when I got out to Illinois, I was passing up shots, and they blew the whistle, and they were like, "KG, we want you to shoot the ball," and I was like, "Oh, all right." So started shooting. Right. Yeah, it was good for me. I had teammates that were fine with me shooting the ball as well. So all that helped, and it played a role. I worked hard.
Confidence.
Yeah, I worked hard. I sometimes I would have class late, and I would get out, and I'd go to the arena and shoot. And I made friends with a lot of students. I always say it pays to be nice to people, because I had, at the time, different females and just people in general. They were like, "You're the only one on the team that, like, talks to people, like, to regular people." I'm like, I'm a regular person. I'm just a regular person on the basketball team. That was how I saw myself. So, I had people rebound for me, and I just became such a student of myself and certain mistakes that I could have been making in my form or whatever. I knew those rims very well, and it just it was good. I was in a situation where I was really able to learn about myself and just build myself and build my craft. So it helped a lot.
So that's college in Springfield, Illinois? What school was that?
Yeah, University of Illinois, Springfield.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can we back up just a little bit?
Absolutely.
So if we go chronologically, you start out in the driveway or at the local park playing, right?
Yeah.
At what point did you start playing organized basketball?
So my first actual game, I was 8, so I was in the 3rd grade, and the gap at the time, when you're younger, the gap of talent is far greater than when you're older, and that was kind of how it was. Like I was.
What do you mean by that?
So when you're younger, you're gonna find very few kids that are like, "Wow, that kid is special." Like, okay, that kid over there, he can every now and then make a shot, but that kid right there has the movement. He's got the coordination. And as you get bigger, everybody has pretty much the coordination. It's just it just comes down to
skills.
Skills. Like who's a better shooter, who's better ball handler, stuff like that. So I would say at that time I started to realize like, whoa, like this is kind of easy, at that time. And then just going from there as I got older and older, we were undefeated 3 of the 4 years that I played in that league.
As a kid?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So 3rd grade, we lost one game. Well, one game I was sick. I don't know if I really count that. So I didn't really play. I didn't play at all, actually. Mm-hmm. The second game that we had lost, they kind of had cheated a little bit, but that's a whole nother story. But for the most part, we ran through a lot of teams. We had a couple of close games, but it was a good starting point for me to build my confidence and understand what it's like to be able to kind of run the show, but also share with your teammates.
Okay. So you dominated clearly.
I'm humble, but yes. Yeah. It was kind of a domination, but I had good teammates too. Yeah. I had good teammates, and even as a kid, I recognized who was good and who, maybe wasn't as talented, but I was always encouraging. If a kid hadn't made a shot all season, I'd try to give him the ball. Let's try to get him a basket, So I was thoughtful even like at a young age, and it just kind of sprung into even who I am now. I just kind of like to see people happy and grow.
So what would you say about today's? Because it seems to me that today's kids and the whole youth sports arena is different now, because when we were kids, there was no personal trainers for basketball. You were hooping in the driveway playing 21.
That's it.
Going to the park playing 3-on-3.
Yeah.
Every once in a while you could get into a full court. Yeah. It wasn't get a trainer and
so true.
And then travel AAU. Right. You know what I mean? It wasn't all of that. So what would you say about these kids today? They have so much more. What would you say the reason why it's been so accelerated? At a younger age.
Well, kind of to go back to your first question about going backwards. For me, I was in the driveway. My dad was out there with us, shooting, make this many shots here, do this, do that, and then play one-on-one. And then we'd play best of 5, who can make best out of 5 at each spot. We did a lot of that. I go to the gym a couple times a week, go to the park and just play. It was more so, I think, then how often you were doing it that helped. But I think now there's so many people breaking down the difference. And, we didn't really have that. That wasn't a thing, And I think that's a huge reason. And I think that, now with the technology development, you have YouTube, and it's so much easier to look and see, okay, how does this team run this offense? How does this player shoot this well? There's so many how-to videos now. You can be a student of it and just watch it. Back then, you had VHS, and that was, ain't nobody got no VHS no more.
Right. No. Some of the people see it and still know what VHS is.
That's right. That's true. That's very true.
I think what you're talking about basically is that, so what I see in you is, first of all, you have to want it. And I feel like you can buy a kid a hoop and you can send them to the camp to play and everything like that. But when you get to watching YouTube videos on running plays and getting in the driveway and shooting all these shots, that comes down to how bad you want it.
It does. And I would say it's kind of a blessing and a curse, because now people just watch highlights. They're not watching the actual basketball game. So They're seeing all the made shots. They're seeing the double crossover, step back, spin move, but they're not working on their fundamentals. They come to the gym. I did a camp out in Grand Rapids yesterday, and I said, the first thing that a lot of y'all do is go to the three-point line and just jack up a bunch of fire shots, And I think now, because of the talent we look at, NBA, and we look at YouTube, people are watching highlights. They're not watching basketball. They're not watching how plays develop and how they're getting to these spots. It's just a quick, convenient, how do I see it quick? And I think convenience has partially ruined our culture, which is a whole nother discussion I can get into later.
So Steph Curry made it look too easy, is what you said.
Yeah, but I don't blame him. I blame highlights.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Right. Because that's what the people see.
That's exactly right. Because, he worked hard at that craft, I tell everybody, people that come to my games, look, I work hard at being able to shoot threes. I don't want you coming out here just jacking up shots from half court. If you're playing the percentages, if you make one of those out of 25, you're going to lose the game. So I'm really big on repetitions and shooting a lot of shots in the paint to get myself going. So, sorry for the long answer, but yeah, I think that's what's really done. I think that just the convenience of YouTube is a good thing, but also can be kind of counterproductive at the same time.
Yeah, no, that's good information, because my son is actually 9 years old and he's watching YouTube.
Is he? Yep.
But to your point, I got to get back in the driveway with him and make him do those drills. Make this many from here. Play 1-on-1. Do this, do that, do that, do that, as opposed to watching so much YouTube.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because it's watching YouTube gets you excited about shooting that 3.
It does.
Being in the driveway, repetition, gets your form until you get the green light. So you can get the green light to shoot all them 3s.
Right. And they do have on YouTube like a full game if you type it in, but no one's really watching those.
Right.
Because it's 2 hours long. You're not going to watch that.
Right.
So I think that, like you said, I think that's great. You know, taking him out to the driveway, and then when he sees you, you know, you inspire him too, I'm sure, and it's going to benefit him a lot. You know, definitely.
Yeah, he wouldn't be the man in front of dad.
Right. And plus, he's the man. So you know what I'm saying. You gotta impress the man. You know? So, yeah.
So if you go, so let's just say after 8, 9, 10 years old, you become a teenager, and then it goes from fun, organized basketball to strictly competitive. Does that happen at 14 when you start playing high school basketball? Does it happen when AAU, 12, 13 years old? At what point was
it get serious?
Yeah. I would say middle school.
Okay.
I would say middle school. We had these different tournaments, 3-on-3, and
so was this through the school, or did you ever do AAU?
I did. The 3-on-3 was through the school. My middle school team, we pretty much ran through everybody. We were undefeated both years, so we were champs 7th and 8th grade. And then a lot of us ended up transferring. But yeah, I would say middle school, because middle school is when people are now investing their time in it for real. You know, AAU, you're going to practices. You know, when you play younger, you might have 1 practice a week.
Right.
You know, middle school, you might, you know, for AAU, you might have 2 or 3. You know, now it's about who's getting better, and then you look up in a couple of years, you're looking at college now. So everybody's trying to stand out. Definitely middle school, I would say, for sure. After middle school, it gets real.
Is that when you started to feel some competition? Because obviously, if you're talented at 8, 9, you're going to stand out from all the kids that are just having fun.
Yeah.
Is that when you started to feel the competition?
Yeah, I would say middle school. If someone would say something on the other team or say something to me, I'd be like, I'd look at them, and that was it. You know, middle school is kind of when I got that, you know.
Right.
I had it in elementary, too. I had a few games where I looked back at the tape, and I was like, that was me. Like I was wilding. I was, you know, doing all type of stuff. You know, but it only happened if it was a close game or if someone on the team really got me going. Yeah, and that was rare. That might have been 2 or 3 times. You know, but yeah.
Okay, nice. So we got the intro going. It's a lot more to go about Mr. Kyle Gupton, but now see when you're from Detroit, it's you got that queued up.
That very first top.
If you're from the Michigan area, you should know what this song is about. You're a little bit young. You might not know. Let's see.
Did that play? Hit the one next to it.
Thank God for editing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
No, it was the real.
Raise that button right there. That volume. That one. Yep. Turn that up. Now hit it.
All right, so let's run that back. I'm gonna say that again. Somehow we'll cut and make that look sweet.
We just cut all this off.
All right.
Okay.
Ready?
Rolling.
All right, so we got the intro. Mr. Kyle Gupton. It's a lot more to come. We got a lot more to discuss with you, but from Michigan, man, Detroit area, you should know about this. This is our Boy Would You segment.
I remember that.
You do remember. See, so you're 32 now. You're about 10 years younger than us. So you was hearing it. You know, you was a young cat, but you was hearing it.
Yeah.
But our Boy Would You segment is pretty much where we go over current events. We talk about some things that are going on today live. That kind of time stamps this moment. Today is April 8th, 2022. And just to make a note of where we are, in life and things that are going on, we want to get your opinion on it.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, we're going to give out the boy, would you? Boy, would you get your mind right? Boy, would you get it together? Boy,
Okay.
So first I want to talk about Monday night. North Carolina Tar Heels blew my bracket. Actually, I had put in 2 brackets for my wife and I. My bracket was already blown.
Mine was too.
It was over with. But it came down to in the bracket that I was in, or me and my wife were in, if North Carolina would have won, she would have got to split the pot. It was like a $900 pot. She would have got to split it.
Oh, nice.
And if they lost, then she lost it completely. So fast forward to halftime of the game, and what they say, for them to lose it, they would have to blow the biggest lead in NCAA history.
Jinxed it.
Yeah. So you was feeling good going to the
Just pretty
halftime.
much wrapped up, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Basically, all they had to do was maintain. Right? And they blew it. Came out there and looked like a completely different team. So I want to ask you, since you're a basketball player, first I want you to tell us your thoughts on how the game went down, a deeper look at it from a pro's perspective. And I want to know, because I know what I think, but I want to know, do we give the boy with you to the players or do we give it to the coach? Because I felt like he should have been injected, stop the momentum, stop something. Give us your thoughts on that.
Well, this time I actually wanted Kansas to win.
Okay.
Only because I just felt that I felt North Carolina felt a little invincible. They beat Coach K last game at Duke, and then they came back, beat them again. And I just felt like they were just kind of running through teams in the tournament.
So you got that? You like that underdog?
Yeah, I wanted Kansas to win. I think the difference, because they were down 16 towards the end of the first half, and I think the reason that Kansas came back for sure was they sped the tempo of the game up. If you notice, pretty much all of Kansas baskets were in transition, so they were getting layups. They were, and North Carolina, like you mentioned, they didn't call a timeout. At least I don't remember them really calling a timeout. And I think that sometimes the Phil Jackson mentality doesn't really work for every team. A lot of teams are not able to play through momentum like that. And I think before you knew it, Kansas was right back in the game. They sped the game up. They defended. They got stops and they got easy baskets. In the first half, they looked very chill, and they were just kind of going into the lane and driving into 2 and 3 guys.
Intensity was low.
Yeah, it was low, and I think that sometimes when it's like that, it can be contagious. So on the flip side of that, as they began to come back, that was also contagious as well. So, yeah.
Okay, because I felt like, man, I'm like, well, so you were on the other side hoping they would make the comeback.
I was.
I'm sitting here watching my $450 get flushed down the toilet.
Oh, man.
I'm like, and I felt like the coach kind of was celebrating. He was confident. They celebrated too early. Mm-hmm. It was the half, and you didn't show up for your job for the second half. You know?
Kansas coach Bill Self, he went into the locker room in the halftime and he said, would you rather be down by 9 with 2 minutes left, or would you rather be down by 16 with 20 minutes left? I think that's the difference, because they were like, oh, we'll take this, 20 minutes to play. So it was a totally different ball game. Mm-hmm. Those last 20 minutes. It looked like a totally different basketball team.
Definitely did.
Yeah.
And once they went down, they could not come back up. It was over.
Yeah.
So, again, I'm going to ask you, who do we give the boy with you to? We going to give it to the coach of the North Carolina, or we going to give it to the players for not?
It's always a tough one, because I think that the coaches do make a huge difference in the game, even though they're not out there playing. I think that I would have to give it to the players.
We're going to give it to the players. There you go. All right. our next one, we're going to talk about Ketanji Brown Jackson is the first, it's official, she's the first African-American female to ever sit on the United States Supreme Court. I don't know how much of this you were able to catch, but I keep the news on sometimes while I'm at work, so I was able to watch it. But they put her through very intense questioning.
I remember that.
They pressed her.
Yeah.
They tried to get her flustered. It's almost like they wanted to see that angry woman jump out.
Right.
And by every left or right, they tried to hit her on all the issues. Her past, she's more than qualified.
Yeah.
She maintained her cool. And I saw a meme today where they were like, there were several of the other people speaking in the Senate, and they were like, I think she's highly qualified, but I cannot vote for her. I think she's this, I think she's that, but I cannot vote for her. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, you know, I think that, well, first of all, it was crazy because I remember there was a guy that asked her a question. I mean, they were just asking the most random things. You would think they'd ask, you know, what is the best color in the world?
Right.
You'd be like, I don't know. It depends on what you think the best color in the world is. It's not really a factual question. One guy asked, he said, when does life begin? And she just kind of sat there and she was like, you know, she actually carried herself really well.
She did.
A lot of people would have got up and, man, you know, punch him in the face or something.
Had a Kanye moment.
Exactly. Or the Will Smith. But I think it's crazy. I think that it's definitely a good achievement, a good accomplishment. I know there's always going to be different views, and again, because of YouTube, there's always going to be some conspiracy theories, some things that are not conspiracy theories that are actually hitting truth.
Yeah.
I think sometimes we have to be careful when they throw out, you know, the first black person to do this, because sometimes the root of what their agenda isn't genuine, too. So we got to be careful with that. But we have to also look at it from the other side of, look, like, as black people, we've gone through a lot, and we haven't had forms of leadership and forms of power. So that is a great thing as well.
It's a great thing as well.
You know, we shouldn't have to jump through hurdles and all these different ridiculous things just to achieve what everybody else can achieve just because of the pigmentation. I mean, it's the most ridiculous thing that in 2022 we're still talking about the pigmentation of your skin.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
That's beyond me.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
And so we're gonna salute Ms. Jackson, Justice Jackson.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, are we gonna give a boy with you to the Republicans, flat out, just the Republicans, or to the process itself? Because the process that you have to go through as a qualified individual, if there's a scheme against you, it's not enough qualifications in the world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why I kind of feel like it's slightly a flawed process.
It is.
But also, if it's four of us in the room and we want to know if this guy shows us he's qualified, you know, but he didn't come in with us. You know what I mean? He didn't come in. So no matter what, so do we blame him? Do we give the boy with you to the Republicans? Boy with y'all, get up off of that. Donald Trump lost.
Right.
Okay, it's over.
He did.
Or do we give it to the process of these, you know, the way it's set up to get to where you got to go? We're going to take your opinion.
Well, I'm going to actually go with the process because
We're going to give it to the process because
well, before we hit that amazing track, only because, you know, when the whole COVID thing happened, before all that, you know, you had to go in for an interview, you had to dress up, right? You had to dress up, you had to have your resume, you had to go and schedule an interview, and now jobs are talking about, oh, you can walk in interviews. We don't care how you do, we just want help. Yeah. So at the end of the day, I feel like as long as this person is helping the agenda to get complete, why should it matter? So I'm giving it to the process.
Boy, They better boss up, man.
Yeah.
All right, and then this last two we gonna combine because I think this leads into a topic that we want to talk about before we get back into the hoops in the career. One, Will Smith. We all know what happened by now. He jumped up on stage. He had a while. He blacked out for a second. I still don't know if the smack was real. I'm gonna stand by my story.
Yeah.
But he is now in the news. His wife is now saying, "Oh, she's standing on the side of. She feels bad that he did it. She's upset that he did it, and everything like that." Kanye West also is in the news for behaving erratically, and I think that both of them are dealing with something completely different than what's being broadcast and what's being put out here, right?
Absolutely.
And I think that it goes to the mental health side of things. As men, especially as black men, we're taught to push through. Something happens to you, you lose a loved one, you got to push through. You got to be strong for your family. You got to be strong for the people around you. Will Smith was embarrassed. I think that he's dealing with, I don't know if it's marriage issues or directly what it is. Kanye West just lost his wife. They're divorced now, and he's going through that. He's been going through things since his mom died.
Yeah.
And now and everybody writes it off because they're rich.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They have hundreds of millions of dollars. They shouldn't have any problems.
Right.
Those problems are as real to them as they are to us.
Yeah.
So give us some of your thoughts on that. And I know mental health is a big thing with you. So
Yeah.
I wanted to hear your thoughts on these two guys and what they're going through and how the public is making it look.
I think one way to definitely avoid all of this is to be kind. Mm-hmm. It's a simple formula that we go away from as we grow. I've gone into a lot of schools and taught to a lot of kids and helped kids with disabilities and just kind of been like a just an aid to anybody of need. Whether it was encouraging them about their behavior and what it ended up turning. And I know I'm going around, but I'm coming back to it. I'd sign autographs and do different things for kids, and I'd meet the parents, and they're like, they admire you, they look up to you, and things of that nature. And in some cases, I found out that these kids either sometimes didn't have a dad or their dad wasn't present. And I think that, when you're younger, because all the kids are always friendly, hi, how are you? And they'll hug you. Some kids will be like, I love you, And I think that we go away from that as we grow. And I think that is a big influence on mental health because a lot of people feel alone. And some people feel like they would be judged if they do something a certain way or whatever. So a lot of people will hide things. And at the end of the day, everybody wants to be themselves. Everybody wants to be themselves. And when you are detoured from that, you can't possibly be 100% happy with life, even if you don't have everything. And I think, in that moment, Will Smith, he acted, like he said, out of emotion, and it was just, there's a lot of different perspectives of it. There's the side that says, oh, yeah, that's how you stand up and support, your woman. But one thing that I said, and this might not be a popular discussion that people won't take on this side, is, Chris Rock never called her ugly. He never called her baldness unattractive.
Right.
And I don't know if y'all remember, but when Black Panther came out, remember in the movie, a lot of the women, they were bald. Right. And everybody, especially black people, they're so beautiful and, they're embracing our African American. And I know that hers is a condition. I get that. But what I'm saying is she was embracing it. She was making videos on Instagram and, she was embracing it and people were really supportive of it. So I just thought that was really different. Obviously he could have went up afterwards and pull him aside if he thought
Exactly.
that wasn't the right thing to do. In no circumstance anywhere in the world is it ever okay to just walk up to someone and just. I mean, that's wild.
Yeah.
Like,
Wild.
Yeah.
like think about that.
Right.
Like someone says something you don't like, and you just walk and you just
On TV
on
at the
TV
Oscars.
at the Oscars, and doesn't help that they're black, obviously. And you know, I think that if the deeper roots would have been dealt with, I don't think it would have came to that, because I think that he had a moment, if it was real, like you said, he had a moment where he said, "Oh shoot, I gotta do something. I gotta do something to show her. I gotta prove it to her that I'm protecting her." You know, and mind you, the word protecting is such a, it's kind of a, it's hard to define it, because one person might look at protection as physically. Now, if he's trying to assault you, absolutely, you gotta throw those hands, you gotta punch him in the face, whatever. But if someone just says something, you gotta think about it. If you're in a store and someone looks at your wife and you look them up and down, like, oh, are you just gonna hit him?
Right.
And then now you might go to jail over a nobody. I think it's very important that we definitely address our personal issues within ourselves, and that we can be transparent with ourselves. And it's okay to say, "Well, I'm not okay with this." For a while they always talked about their marriages and stuff like that, and everybody was talking about that, so that could have led into it. She was, the whole August thing.
Right.
And people are like, "Well, he didn't slap August," and which is true. I mean,
And that's the one he really should have went after.
That's right. That's right.
You talking about disrespect?
That's right. Right. Because he was, I'm sorry, y'all, he was plowing her.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So where were you at then? Where were you at then? I mean, how far are we going to go with this protecting thing? If someone writes a blog about your wife, what you going to do? You going to look up their address and go slap them? These are things that I just think we got to think about, and just avoid acting out of emotions. But again, that goes back to addressing your mental health. Are you really okay?
Exactly. And then I'm sure you've had your share of it. But when you're in the spotlight like that, you have to put on a front of some sort. You know what I mean? You have to. So now you've been disrespected by your wife, but then we want to say, "Oh, we're going to work through it. We've talked it out. We red tabled it.
Right.
It's all good now."
That's right.
But in his mind, you can do all that publicly. Mm-hmm. But as you said, he was plowing my wife.
Yeah, that's right.
She created a whole term about it.
That's right.
Entanglement.
Everybody was saying it.
And that word entanglement, if you Will Smith, every time you hear that word, burning inside.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then when you see him sitting down at the Oscars, you don't know what that man has. That's why people are now shooting each other on the freeway and stuff like that, because they dealing with a whole bunch of stuff.
Absolutely.
And then you cut them off. Absolutely. It ain't just the fact that you cut him off.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? It's not
right.
just the fact that he made a simple, lighthearted joke about his wife.
Right.
Something was building up.
Right. And the interesting thing about that was he literally was referring to a movie where that was the haircut that she had.
Right.
That was the haircut that she had. So at that time, were they disrespecting her? When the movie came out, were they talking about her hairstyle being terrible, or
Right.
So, and again, he never said that it was bad. I know that's not a popular take, but he never said that it was bad, it was negative, she's ugly, because people talk all type of mess on social media because they don't know where you live, obviously. They hide behind the screen and all that, so, it's, the mental health thing is huge.
Okay, and then Kanye West, there's two sides of that. Some people say, he should have the right to see his kids, and then some people be like, you're acting erratic, you're wilding out. I don't know if I would want you around the kids right now either. Right.
Yeah, he has a history of being a little different sometimes, And I remember when he went to speak at Joel Osteen's church in Texas, and Joel, he was just up there standing with him, and I'm sure that they had discussion before, like, look, you can't say this, you can't say that, just because of his history alone of being here than being there.
Exactly.
You know, so that would be taken into account, I think, as far as seeing the kid, because there are some parents that they're not able to get through their emotion, even around a child. You know, you hear of unfortunate things happening to kids and abuse and stuff like that. So, you know, he hasn't been the same since his mother passed.
Right.
You know, he's been here, there. Oh, I'm making gospel music now. You know, oh, Sunday service. And, you know, we didn't even know if that was legit because of what? Because of his past.
So do we give this is a tough one for me, because we could straight out give it to Kanye West for his erratic behavior and justify her in not wanting you to see your kids because we don't know if you can push past your emotions. Or do we give it to a circle of people that have been around Kanye all this time since his mom passing, and no one's been able to be close enough to give him some honest reflection? Like, bro, you've been wilding out, man, and I know you hurt. It starts out like that. I know you hurt, bro. I mean, I know what your mom was to you. I know that you've taken some L's and you've been pushing through, but it's showing up, bro. You know what I'm saying? I would hope that you would one day be like, Drae,
You tripping.
you tripping, man.
Yeah.
You know I love you, bro. You tripping. You know what I'm saying? He needs that. I feel like he needs that from a Jay-Z or I don't know who's his inner circle that he's got the most confidence in.
Yeah.
But who we giving? So Will Smith was erratic that night. You acted in the way you should know better.
Yeah.
So we gave it to Will Smith. What about Kanye?
That also was not the first time Will Smith slapped somebody.
Who did he slap before? I didn't know.
Another guy, he had tried to get close to him or something, like on his cheek and stuff, and Will slapped him. This is like a few years ago.
He was walking through a crowd or something like that.
Yeah.
I did see
Somebody
that.
got too close for comfort.
I did see that.
And then there was the time he made the joke years ago when he was a lot younger about the bald guy on the stage. I don't know if y'all ever saw that either. Yeah, it was on the Arsenio Hall show. He made, the internet never forgets. So as soon as that happened, they said, well, that's why he did it.
Yeah.
Someone went back and said, well, wait a minute. Back in 1990 or whatever, you said the internet don't forget.
Don't forget.
I am going to, this one is a little tough. Because you don't want a lot of yes men around you. I think that's great how you talked about you two, like he'll hold you accountable. But look, you tripping, like you can't be doing that. Right. So you have to have people around you that are that care about your success and care about your well-being instead of just, well, you pay my phone bill, so I'm not gonna say nothing.
We're gonna keep the show going.
Yeah. So I think that they take partial blame for not getting him the help, but he is still an individual himself who has to go back to the drawing board as well and try to get the best help that he can get. Because
that's a boy with jaw.
I think boy with jaw. I think so. Because especially if you have a history, sometimes you have to, for a while, you have to almost overprove yourself and say, look, this, that's not me anymore. To a degree. I think that there comes a time where you stop trying to prove yourself to society because people are going to think what they think anyway.
Yeah.
But if you have a history or something, you got to be good behavior, so to speak, for a while.
Yeah.
I think. And there's no length of time. How do you measure that? None of us really know that. But I'm giving it to both of them. It's a boy with jaw.
It's a boy with jaw.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so that's our boy with juice segment. We just like to look at what's going on. There's always going to be some gossip going on.
Oh yeah.
In this day and age, I think that a certain amount of the world is fueled off of gossip and some activity going on.
Yes.
So we're gonna get back into Kyle Gupton.
I got a question.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you playing competitive high school basketball. at some point you realize you're better than most of the people that's on the team. It may be one or two players that's better than you, but you're in the upper echelon. When the starting five is picked, you always in that mix. You realize you got a God-given talent. Okay? People, outsiders, people that you don't know now is recognizing this, meaning college recruiters. People are trying to influence you to make a decision for your next steps. Which paths do you decide to take upon leaving high school? 2 questions. How did you handle that? And for me, nobody influenced me to try to go anywhere. When I graduated from high school, I didn't have any external forces say, hey, look at this option. Hey, look at this option. Hey, look at it. Was, wow, I'm going to college, but I got to fill out some applications and see who accept me.
Yep,
right?
That's real.
Your options were different. You got people pulling for you. How did you handle that, and then where did that lead you to?
That's a great question. Well, for me, around that time, I had a thought of, what was the popular thing to do. So, they have Division I, Division II, Division III, NAIA, JUCO. I was a little bougie. If you were a Division II or Division III, don't look at me. Because I'm trying to, do this. I'm trying to do this Division I stuff. So for me, what really ended up, it's funny because God knows what he's doing. I ended up saying, you know what, I want some more options. At the time I didn't have, I would just say, not to put people out there, but I didn't have higher leadership that pushed me to these schools. A lot of these higher leadership positions, I'll say, they feel that their job is just for the season.
So when you saying higher leadership, are you talking coaches? Are you talking? There's a lot of kids out there that are good at basketball right now. They might have decisions to make.
Yeah. We could say coaches. We could say people that are influencers that knew people that were over AAU organizations, people that had a big influence in connections. When it comes to those people, there's only a hand pick of amount of people that actually think it's their job to help get kids to college. So what I ended up doing was I said, okay, I'm going to expand my options and I'm going to go JUCO. So I went to Henry Ford, played for the same coach as my brother when he went there.
Okay.
Henry Ford College, 2-year school.
You had some comfort there, obviously.
I did, but what ended up happening was in that first year that I was there, I started getting these heart palpitations. And we were doing conditioning and stuff like that. And I was like,
my next question. Okay.
Yeah. And I was like, I'm like, am I really? I looked at myself in the mirror. I said, am I really ready for this? Am I going to worry about what people think? So I ended up talking to the coach, and I took that year off. I registered. I started working at a school, and I was just playing in leagues with my brothers and my cousins, and that helped me a lot. Because it helped me to not only become a better player, but to gain more confidence and to get through that condition. Because I went and got an EKG done on my heart. They were like, you're fine. It was a growing process because I was drinking Gatorades like it was nobody's business. I mean, breakfast, lunch, dinner, Gatorade. So I was drinking too much Gatorade.
Is that what it was?
That was what led to it. I wasn't doing water. I thought, well, I'm like, water? Why would I do that? Gatorade, straight Gatorade.
So Gatorade is known to, this is the first time I've heard something negative about Gatorade. Yeah. So let's talk about that real quick. Because they say it has electrolytes, which replenishes your sweat, I think.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with Gatorade. I was just overdoing it.
Okay.
I was just overdoing it. I mean, there's no reason I should be having it in the morning, lunch, dinner. Technically, you're supposed to really only have it either during exercise or if like a doctor tells you, you know, you need more electrolytes, then yeah, you can drink Gatorade. I was doing too much of it. And I just really used that time to get tougher mentally, which I needed as well.
Okay.
And like I said, God knew what he was doing from the get-go. Like if I would have went out to whatever, Division 1, 2, or 3, and I wasn't ready, I'm coming home. Right. So I was thankful. I'm like, I'm at a JUCO. I'm able to travel back and forth from home. So I used that year for that, and then I came back the next year a lot better. And then the following year, I was even better than that. So I did about 2.25 years there. Basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you're at Henry Ford here in the city.
Yeah.
Still close to home. Still in touch with the family.
Yeah.
Still got your older brothers to kind of guide you.
Right.
And then how do you go to, so when you're at a junior college and you want to get out and you want to, so how do you say, hey, I'm looking for some, are people recruiting you still, or do you kind of seek who would accept you?
People are definitely recruiting. A lot of universities, well, I always tell people that I train now, you know, a lot of universities, they're actually looking for players that have a little experience. So they're getting players from JUCOs. And, you know, that way they're not cold turkey. You know, they've played a little bit and they got the feel for the game, you know, the speed. They're already adjusted to a lot of that. So I was getting looks. My first year, I could have actually left after that year and went to a university. It was out in like West Virginia. But I ended up staying, and I'm glad I did because I had even more looks my second year. And our coach there, he was great. He really pushed us all to, if we were good enough, to go play at a higher level. And there was 4 of us, and all 4 of us went and played at a higher level. So it was good. And then what it really did was it prepared me for the university level because the conditioning there was even more crazy. It was even more rigorous. But I was mentally tougher, and I just kind of felt invincible, you know. I've played against my brothers and stuff from the driveway to the gyms over and over again.
God, they prepared you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I feel like playing against them, I'm like, I can play against anybody now, you know, because they're longer, they're
What's
stronger.
the gap between you and your brothers?
So Corey just turned 39, and then Kenny, I think he will be 38 this year.
So about 6 years. So they were much older, stronger, tougher. So you had to learn to be tough.
Oh yeah. My cousins, you know, they're also the same. Everybody's pretty much bigger than me, and just kind of telling me do this, do that, and they really helped me mentally. You know, there were times where I could have been more aggressive, and they're like, look, you need to be more aggressive, and boom, I turned that on. You know, so they helped me from the mental standpoint as well, and I'm really thankful for that because, you know, playing today, I walk into a facility and I'm like, okay, I have the mindset that I'm the best player here and no one's going to outwork me, you know, and that's just that's carried with me through everything that I do now, you know, so I'm really thankful for them for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we get to Springfield, Illinois.
Yes.
How's that go for you?
That was good. You know, at the time, it's kind of funny because I had different places that I was looking into, and they were all in nice places. All of them, really good weather. One was in Hawaii. Another was in Florida. And I had one in Texas. So,
wow.
I know, I ended up in Illinois. You're like, Illinois?
It's almost like Michigan.
Right. Exactly. So people thought, like, wow, that's crazy. But, yeah, it ended up really working out. And actually, to rewind, after my second year at Henry Ford, I wasn't hearing from different colleges. And I was like, this is annoying. Like, what am I going to do? This is crazy.
So you were not hearing?
I was not, yeah. And I was just like, this is crazy. I had a good year. I had teams that were, you know, looking at me. And I was like, did I just not take the offers quick enough? Like, what's going on? My mom kept telling me, like, be patient. Just be patient. It's going to come. So one day I got a random call from a coach over there at Illinois Springfield, and I was like, okay, let me see what they're talking about. Let me see what they're saying. And they really were big on getting me there because they were like, look, we saw your film through another guy on your team. And it's you that we would like to bring here.
They were watching his film.
They
saw you.
Yeah. So I was like, that's wild. Like, so I was like, okay. And they were calling a lot. They were like, look, if you want to come here, you have to fill out this form. I mean, they were very on it. Like, I felt like they really wanted me there. And that was something that played a big role for me. I'm like, wow, this is great. I think you should always go where you want it.
Yeah.
And go to where it fits you the best. And that was a situation there, man. It was a great situation. And one of the things that I had to do was I had to get my associate's degree. Make a long story short, the conference, they kind of had this rule of like, if you come from JUCO, you're supposed to have your associate's degree. There's ways around it, but they're like, this is the easiest way that we can do this. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I had all the requirements except for a computer test. And I was like, a computer test? So I went on there and I looked at it at, when the next one was scheduled. And the next one wasn't scheduled until like, what was it? It might have been October. And I was like, that's too late.
So this is summer of that.
Yeah.
Okay, and you talking about October.
Yeah. So I was like, that's too late. Like, what am I going to do? So I talked to my coach, and he has just crazy connections. He's like y'all. He believes in action, not talking about something, but let's go in here and let's do this. Like, let's make something happen.
Let's figure this out.
So I called him. We went up there, and he talked to this lady in the office, and we were in there, and he was like, this young man has a $50,000 scholarship on the table and this and that. He needs to take this test. We need to figure out what we can do about that. So she sent us to somebody else. So he was like, when we get to the next person, we're going to tell him it's a $60,000 scholarship. I was like, all right. So, yeah. So he went in and we went and we talked to her and she was like, oh, yeah, you can get it. You can do it tomorrow. So I went the next day, passed it, and got my associate's degree, and I was able to go to Illinois Springfield.
That's God.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
it is.
for sure.
And I'm really thankful for that, about him because I'm really thankful to him, I should say, because he didn't have to do that, but he really always has been a caring person, rather. And, actually we're supposed to reconnect with him again pretty soon because he's just that type of person, So, got out to Springfield. It was great. I got there and there were a lot of distractions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A lot of distractions. And wait a minute, I got my own place.
Yep. Freedom.
I'm like, this is great.
Yeah. Kind of like a celebrity here.
Yeah, exactly. And it was perfect because it wasn't too far, but it wasn't too close.
See, that's why I'm glad I didn't have that in college, man. I wasn't a celebrity. Have all them beating down my door. I got to really get into my studies, man, because I didn't have to worry about all those distractions.
So many distractions. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
And, something that really stayed with me was my dad. Because my dad always has these different quotes. And sometimes we were like, why is he saying this? Like, okay, he's always saying this. One thing he would say is, be thinking all the time. Mm-hmm. And we were like, of course you're thinking all the time. He's like, no, be thinking all the time. And it makes sense now because I'm like, okay, yeah, those 15 seconds of doing something stupid could be costly.
Yeah.
So every time when I was away, I thought of my dad. When something would, present itself, okay, be thinking all the time. Be thinking all the time. I did not want to have to look my dad in the eyes and him say, I told you to be thinking all the time.
Yeah.
Like, that was, like, for me, almost like my biggest, like, fear. And I don't really want to say fear. I would say
you don't want to disappoint. You don't want to. You don't want to.
Let them down.
Right.
That was like your push.
Exactly. So it was good. I was able to, to stay focused for the most part. And it's not even just female related. It's so many other distractions.
Oh, yeah.
In college, So there were some things that, that I did, and there were some things that I didn't do. And I'm thankful for having the mindset of what can this do in the near future? Because if it's something that might not be good, then I probably wasn't going to do it, you know. But it was a great experience, man. I grew so much being away and being gone, and you know, it gave me a lot of confidence. And you know, there were just simple things like cleaning up or washing your clothes. You know, beforehand, I wasn't doing all that stuff, but now I'm like, I really had to be on it. Mm-hmm. And the more you do something, especially when you're by yourself, you're like, oh, I can do this. You know, if you're not good at vacuuming, you go away and you start to learn how to vacuum on your own. You're like, oh, I can do this. This is nothing. I can vacuum, you know. So it was good. And, you know, just the basketball experience, you know, I got along with my teammates, and, you know, nobody's perfect. You know, I had my thoughts about certain people, certain teammates, and, you know, I always say, I think that males and females are different, because in female sports, they're like, oh my gosh, this is my bestie, I love her. Like, you're on Instagram, oh, she's so awesome. And then male sports, you know, compared to competition. Yeah. You know, we're not huge on the buddy stuff. So if you find a teammate that you're really, really cool with, definitely keep them close. But, you know, yeah, I didn't have any like issues to where I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't like that person. I didn't have none of that. And I'm thankful for that, because I've heard of a lot of stories of people having coaches and teammates and stuff that just made their life just miserable. Like, they didn't like them at all. And again, I didn't agree with everything. I think that there were some situations where things might have been a little biased. I think some people were a little biased about others. And with me being different, I think that sometimes people can look at that and they can think that, you know, basically you're not a part of us. Like, you're a part of us, but you're not. So it's something that you just, you know, you're able to learn and deal with. And after a while, you're like, well, I don't really care what you think of me. So did you start your first year there, or did you? Yeah. You had, oh, okay. Yeah. So that could cause some issues. Right. And, you know, I had a great first year and even better second year. But I do think that a lot of times, you know, positioning and taking spots and stuff like that, that can play a role when people see one being maybe highly successful in the area. So I'm gonna pause there. Yeah. He told y'all he was humble, right? Yeah. When he said he had a pretty good year, we gonna talk about how good that year was, man. I mean, he's humble for sure. Because at the University of Illinois at Springfield, he averaged 10.7 points per game and made a total of 56 three-pointers, which was the most in school history. So when he say he was there setting records. That's more than a pretty good year. He was setting records on a college campus. That you know, I'm saying all that to say that speaks to your character, because we have friends in we have a good friend of ours who could have went very far, could have went to the NFL. Wow. But I know college, when you enter college, mm-hmm. It takes more than just being talented as a hooper or as a football player. Absolutely. There's outside influences. Yeah. College is the first place where you have to decide to go to class. They're not going to call your parents and say, hey, Kyle didn't make it to class today. Right. What's going on? Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. They made their money already. They don't care if you show up. So to be a college athlete and still maintain your workout regimen, your practice schedule, and maintain the grades and focus to be able to get to that next level. So that speaks to your character. But this guy was up there setting records, man. 56 three-pointers, senior year, 26 points and 6 three-pointers in one game to defeat the University of Southern Indiana. These have got to be great memories, great times in your life, man. You was on top of your game. Absolutely. And you was winning up there at school. Yeah. You had to be winning up there. Yeah, no, it was good. I look back at some of my old games sometimes and just I remember like how it felt, if that makes sense. I remember being in a game and getting so hyped to where I like it's almost like blacking out almost. It's weird. It's like you're in the outer body experience. You're so excited. And it's like time just kind of stops and stands still, and you're able to really look around you and like embrace it. So I definitely remember that. And I just, my second year there, I just wanted to be better than my first year.
Okay.
So that was a goal of mine, and getting all conference, that was a goal of mine. I tried to set goals for myself that could help better my team, and then also just from a personal standpoint of can I do it, so to speak. So that was it was big for me, because I know that for a lot of people in college it doesn't really work out. Sometimes they might go for a year or two, or they might not play a lot. Or they might play, but they might not. They might average 2 or 3 points a game. College
shifts to college. It's a different level.
It's different.
Everybody's not ever
Right.
able to take it to that next level.
Right.
And there's other factors that are involved.
Yeah. The defense is better. People will lead a team averaging 14, 13, 12 points a game. It's different. There's less possession sometimes because of the shot clock. It's more of a team atmosphere.
Right.
Move the ball around, things of that nature. So you have to really be a system player in college, and that's hard for a lot of people, especially people who are really talented.
Been a standout.
Yeah.
It's like get him the ball every time.
Right.
Just get him the ball.
Exactly.
Now you got to get into a system.
Yeah, and I think a lot of players kind of struggle with that because in the college level, everybody teaches you fast, play fast, got to go fast. Well, at the next level, if you go and play either NBA or overseas, you have to be able to understand tempo and changing tempo. You can't move 100 miles an hour the whole time like they teach you in college. You got to slow down. Players out there, slow down. You don't have to move 100 miles an hour, Russell Westbrook, sorry, all the time. Because what ends up happening is if you're moving 100 miles an hour all the time, a lot of times you're not making the best decisions, and it just takes yourself and sometimes your teammates out of the game. So if you understand tempo and pace and spacing, I think that you can be successful at the next level for sure.
Okay, so you went from Ypsilanti to playing at Henry Ford here.
Yeah.
Now you're in Illinois. You go out there and kill them for 2 years.
Yeah.
And you graduate in school. And at this point, you've been a hooper since 8 years old. That's you. You stand out. Obviously, we all want to go to the NBA. At what point did you start looking? What were your options as you were closing out college?
Yeah. Wow, that's interesting. So I had ended up, we had our awards ceremony. This was after the season. And, something that I kind of really grabbed hold to was, getting our conference, getting the most outstanding player award. And then the big kicker was getting the athlete of the year, because it wasn't like a actual goal of mine throughout the year, honestly. Yeah.
Let's go over those awards again. Can't just breeze past that. I want everybody to understand this is a standout athlete. He's very, very, very humble. But you got what?
I got all conference.
All conference.
I was the most outstanding player of the team award. And then the male athlete of the year for the university.
Male athlete of the year in the whole school.
Yeah. It wasn't, I'll be honest, it wasn't like throughout the year, I wasn't like, okay, I got to get athlete of the year. Like, I wasn't even really thinking about it. I was thinking about all conference, though. I will say that that was a goal of mine. So I think for me, surpassing my expectations was a big thing.
Okay.
For me. When I saw that, I'm like, okay, I can really do something with this, and I know, NBA, I had a few different connections for people that knew of people and could get workouts and stuff like that. But I think I really just realized it's really about your best fit. If I was to do that, I would like to go and play.
Right.
You know, I would like to play. I don't want to go there and average 2 minutes a game, 2 points a game, just to say that I'm there.
Right.
Everybody's situation is different. You know, I want to use my body while I'm able to use it. You know, and I think that if you're sitting the bench anywhere, or if you're not playing the minutes that you think you should be getting, you're kind of wasting away time. Yeah. Because when you're 45, you can't tap into the 24-year-old you. Nope. 24-year-old activate.
That time has passed.
Yeah. So I said, okay, I'd rather go somewhere where I can kind of be the man. I kind of wanted that responsibility because although that might sound kind of like, gee, why would you want to be the man? Well, it's another form of pressure that you put on yourself. Right. And I knew that I needed that for my growth as well. I needed that pressure.
Okay.
And I knew that if I could be put into a situation of that, it would help me to grow as a person.
Now, is this all, honestly, I know that you were raised in a good family.
Yeah.
Okay, so you had older brothers as examples too.
Yeah.
But that's a lot of self-awareness for at this point, what are you, 21?
When I left there, I was 23.
23?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a lot of self-awareness because I would think that 8 out of 10 cats that you talk to, any chance to say that I'm in the NBA,
yeah,
I'm taking it.
Yeah,
but that's a whole nother way. I never really thought about it that way.
Yeah.
But to go somewhere where I can actually play a lot and not sit on the bench just to be in the NBA.
Right. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, you can be playing on another team where you're actually playing and being useful.
Right.
And, you know, I just think that for me, because whenever I would meet somebody and they say, yeah, I played in the NBA, I'm like, oh, okay, that's great. And, you know, you look them up. And I was like, okay, wow, dang, 4 minutes a game. And, you know, people look you up.
Yeah.
You know, and
it's easy.
It's easy.
Look you up real quick.
That's right. Yeah. Google is just, I can pull my phone out right now on Google, you know. So I was like, man, I don't want to just be there just to say that I'm there. I want to, you know, if I'm there, I want to be in the right situation. And I know no situation is perfect, but there's a lot of crap, I'll say, that goes into basketball. A lot of politics. A lot of, you know, this guy went there, that guy went there, and this guy went to Division. You know, I was at Division II, but it was one of the best conferences like in the whole country. Like we had a lot of really good schools in that country or in that conference. But
you were all conference.
Yeah, all conference. You know, but sometimes it was like, okay, well, Billy, you know, we know that you averaged 12 a game at the D2 and had those accolades, but Billy, he went to Division I. We know he averaged 5 points a game, but he's at Division I. And it was just ridiculous because we would play against some of the best Division II teams and some Division I teams and almost beat them. You know, one of the teams you had mentioned, Southern Indiana, they were ranked like 10th in the nation at the time, and we beat them. So a lot of politics goes into that, but once you get after that like first year, once you get your foot in the door, people start to kind of not care as much about where you came from and all that garbage because they're like,
prove.
Yeah, can you get a stop on defense? Can you put the ball in the basket? Can you make the right pass? Stuff like that. And yeah, so for me that was a big thing. I wanted to be of use at that time. And also something that a lot of people don't know, and I'm gonna share it because this is a great place to do that. But I actually was not confident about living in another country. I had some fear, actually, to be honest with you.
Understandable.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, I really want to play, but I don't know if I'm really ready for that. Like, whole new language, possibly a long plane ride by myself, all the way across the world. I'm like, But after a while, I think I saw more and more people going, and I was like, okay, you know what? It's time to face this fear. I think I can do this. I'm tired of sitting around here.
So out of college, though, out of Springfield, you went into the ABA.
I did. Now, I'm thankful that I did. Part of that was comfort because it was near home. I was still playing. It was my rookie year, so I was able to add my resume. And then that situation in itself allowed me, even though I was a rookie, to still be one of the go-to players.
Rookie debut, 18 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists.
Right, exactly. Because I learned from him, y'all. That's what it was. That's what it was. So that was, for me, that was a growing point as well.
ABA All-Star, rookie year.
Yeah, I mean it, and that's humbling. Everything that he's reading is definitely humbling. I spent a lot of that time really grinding, and during that time, a lot of people don't know this as well. I was actually working at a school and in season. So I was working at a school from like 9 to 4. I would leave there, go to the gym on my own, do my own workouts, sometimes for 2 hours, and then either go to practice or I'd be training somebody, and then I'd go home, get home 8:30, 9 o'clock, do the same thing next day.
These are the things that do not make the highlight film.
They don't make the highlights. Right. These are not your YouTube moments. This was a grind. I was trying to make a little extra cash, and it was fun doing it. But after a while, I'm like, okay, I think like now I'm ready now, because this is kind of like, this is a lot.
So that will put us in 2014. You make your ABA debut. Yeah. You make the All-Star team. You're averaging, what is it? What were you averaging? Let's see. 22 points a game?
Yes, sir.
22 points a game in any league is a beast.
Baller.
Well, I think for me, I felt that I had something to prove to myself, to others, and just using that motivation alone, it allowed me to go through that 9 to 9 schedule like it was nothing. Because I actually valued sleep. I valued sleeping in.
We got that in common.
Yes, I value that. See, you got to get your sleep. Yeah. So I'm like, am I going to sit here and talk about what I feel like doing, or am I going to go out here and do it? Because time's a wasting. If I'm not going to do this, I don't want to look back and have regrets over a temporary feeling of feeling tired, feeling sleepy.
Right.
I can always take a nap. My dad has a saying. He tells me, you can be tired later. So when you're on the court, you're going 100%. And if you want to drink that Gatorade on the couch later, that's fine. But you're not going to feel that same level of tiredness as you felt when you were on the court. So go after that loose ball, dive on the floor, play hard, and then, you live with the results. So
put it all out there.
So that was a big year for me as far as self-growth and just kind of learning more about what if I was really about that life. And that 9 to 9 schedule, although it was tough for me, over time it became really easy. Mm-hmm. It really did. Mm-hmm. And I just knew that at the end of that season, based on certain things and circumstances, I was ready for something a little higher.
Yeah, because he led the team in scoring, 3-point percentage, 3-pointers made. I mean, these are kids out here. They're not ready for it.
And he shooting them with the left hand.
Lefty. Yeah. I saw that.
He shooting them with the left.
So here's the crazy part that I tell people. That's the only thing in my life I can do left-handed is shoot a basketball.
Really?
Can't do anything left-handed.
You don't write left-handed?
I don't write left-handed. If I went like this, I would feel weird. I would have to cross over here, go to my right, and drink.
Really?
Can't eat left-handed. Can't write, draw left-handed. Even the remote, like even texting, I pull my phone out. I'm like, oh, let me switch it back to my right hand.
Wow.
I don't know how I started doing that, but I just started shooting left-handed.
You always started shooting left-handed from 8 years old, and you just shot left-handed.
Let me see. From 8 years old, I was kind of shooting two-handed like everybody kind of was, but I think I was putting more power in my left hand, and I don't know why.
Are either of your brothers left-handed?
No.
They're both right-handed.
They're both right-handed.
Wow.
No one in my family, my mom, my dad, no one is left-handed in anything. Even opening a door, I will not go up to a door and go like this. If I have something in my hand, I will switch it.
So on the hoop court, are you ambidextrous or are you left-handed? You're a left-handed hooper.
So on the court, I go both ways, like just as equally. Rewind it. So on the hoop court, I go both ways equally. A lot of times because I shoot left-handed, people will say, force him right. Some of them will still say force him left. I don't know why that is, but they'll say force him right. And, you know, a lot of times I end up actually going right because that's the way that they give me. It's not that I can't go left, but they give me the right or they'll give me left. So it's something that I've worked on for a while because both of my brothers are taller than me and longer than me. You create a little space, you're like, I got a shot up. No, you don't. They're blocking it. Right. And then you get mad. So now it becomes a pride thing. And we've had quite a few battles of talking and playing and
sure.
You know, it can get pretty physical, you know, not fighting or nothing like that, but you know what I mean? Like just
fierce competition.
Oh, absolutely. And then afterwards you think we're best friends, you know. So that helped me a lot too.
So we go to the ABA. That's it's a professional league.
Yeah.
But it's obviously you outgrew that pretty quickly. Then how do you get to Australia?
That is an interesting story.
How do you get when you get the call, and how do you get to Australia?
So in between the ABA and Australia, I played on a team with my brothers and my cousins
at the church.
Yeah, and that was my favorite championship I've ever won because it was just so meaningful. Our point guard actually, not too long after that, unfortunately passed away in a car accident.
Oh wow!
So it was a really big deal that we had won that, and my family and friends. I mean, the games were packed. You know, it was quite an atmosphere, and winning that was huge. And the way that I played with my brothers and my cousins and against this great level of competition, I said, okay, I think I really am built for something a little bit. Well, a lot.
Average 24.8 points a game.
I said
I won the championship.
You know, I knew that I wanted more at that time. So we won that. I spent a lot of that summer just having a good time and traveling and being in the gym. And I went to a camp in Las Vegas, and I played really well there. And at the time, there were different scouts there and stuff like that, but I'm like, okay, wait a minute. I averaged like 20 a game. I was shooting efficiently. And, I had people talking to me, but it was more that were talking to other players. And I was like, okay, this is where the politics kicks in because that guy over there, he was not that good. Mm-hmm. So I saw that. I said, okay, that kind of motivated me a bit. For me, whenever something sparks a fire in me, I don't like...
You run to it, rather than running from it.
Yeah. So sometimes I kind of hope that people spark a fire in me. I hope that someone says something to me in the game because that's going to make me go like 200%, mm-hmm. So after that, I said, okay, I got to figure out what to do here. I had gotten an email because I didn't want to deal with an agent at that time, which, I can go back and say maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't have. I don't know. It worked out for me, though, because I ended up getting a list of a lot of emails of teams from other countries, and I was just emailing. I mean, boom, boom, boom. I had to have sent about 100 emails.
You sent out emails?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was sending them, like, left and right.
What do you send in an email?
So just my resume, video links to my games, and stuff like that. Just showing them basically this is what I can do. This is what I'm looking to do for your team, for your club. What I'm looking to do for your community, because I did a lot of camps and training at that time for little kids. So it wasn't just about me playing, but it was about me contributing to your community as well. Okay. So I put all that in there. So one day, this is one of the craziest things ever. I got an email from a guy that was saying, how would you like to come play for this team? You can live with the coach for free in a nice house, and you can get paid for different endorsements and doing these camps and doing training and, sponsorships. But they just lost a sponsor. So you got to pay $500. So when I saw that, I said, okay, I'm a very inquisitive, investigating type person. I think I get that from my mom because she's that way too. You bring up something to my mom, and she's like, "Really?" She'll look it up and say, "Oh, well," and she has all the information for you right there. Like 20 seconds later, it's crazy. So I said, "That don't sound right." So I started looking and investigating. I went to their Facebook page, and they said, "Warning: there's a scammer out there trying to scam people for money. So don't give them no money." I sent them a message, and I said, yeah, that person tried to scam me too, but I didn't give them any money. I'm just wondering, do y'all have a spot for an import? They call us imports, like, because you're only allowed to have, depending on the country, sometimes 1, sometimes 2, sometimes 3.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you can have
imports.
Yeah, so American players. Yeah. So they said, no, you can send us your film. We can't promise you nothing, but so I was just like, whatever. I sent them my stuff, and 30 minutes later, they wanted me to come. Really? So I actually got there originally not off of an agent. I got there off of a scammer, because if it wasn't for the scammer, I wouldn't have reached out to them, extra, because I reached out to them, I think maybe before, but it probably got overlooked.
You resent them a video?
Yeah, because it was an email at first. So, how people scroll through emails, but this was through Facebook. So they saw that Facebook message, and that was it. I went the first year. Second year, they wanted me to come back. And after not getting an award my first year, they had a award called All-Star 5, and I didn't get it. I thought I was slighted from that. I was like, that's crazy. I said, I'll come back next year. I'm getting that award. So the next year I came back and I got it. And I just used it as motivation. Yeah. Like, y'all really ain't going to give that to me. I'm going to make y'all give it to me this year.
So you go to Tamworth, Australia.
Yep.
To play for the Thunderbolts.
Yep.
Tell us, how old are you at that point?
I was 26.
26 years old.
Yep.
Been in the Midwest region of the United States most of your life.
Yeah.
And you land in a plane in Australia.
Yep.
Get off the plane. You're a professional basketball player. What's the biggest reality check or culture shock, or what's the feeling?
Amazing weather.
Amazing weather.
The weather there is amazing. The air smelled different. I know that sounds crazy, but how here you go outside and you run around and you go in the house and your mom is like, you smell like outside.
Right. Not
there. You can go outside, run around, whatever, and something about the air is just cleaner.
Really?
Yeah, it was cleaner, and they had a lot of nice buildings.
Is this like a city area? How is Australia?
When I arrived at the Sydney airport. So that's a really big city.
Okay.
Really big city. And one of the first things I had noticed was the driving, because they're on the other side of the car, on the other side of the road.
Okay.
So when they picked me up, I'm like, I'm not driving, because they opened the left door.
Yeah.
I'm not driving. I don't know how to drive here. And I get in and oh my gosh, the driving wheels on the other side of the car.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a right-hand drive.
Yeah.
Okay, so question.
Yeah.
You get to Australia, you had culture shock, everything's a right-hand drive, to driving on the opposite side of the road.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you have an escort, somebody from the team or represents the organization, helps you out.
Yeah.
Okay. You very comfortable in the gym, in the basketball court. You're overseas.
Yeah.
When it's time to go home.
Yeah.
All right. Practice is over. The game is over.
Right.
Everything that's basketball related is done. How do you adapt socially? Like, when the game in here in the United States, you got a social life.
Right.
You got relatives, you got brothers, you got friends, you got homeboys, you got teammates. Mm-hmm. Now you're in a whole nother country. You don't know anybody. You got maybe a liaison from the team or the organization. You probably know the best.
Yeah.
How do you develop friends? How do you develop a social life?
I think that their culture helped me with that a lot, because their culture actually was very friendly.
Okay.
It wasn't like, oh, you're not from here, we're not talking to you. It was actually the opposite. It was like, hey, how you doing? Where you from? Like they kind of forced you to be social.
Okay.
That helped me a lot because I was the type of person to where I wouldn't initiate a conversation. Like I was like that shy.
But hold on, how big is basketball there? First of all, because you're on a professional team, so what's the celebrity level like?
It's growing a lot. I mean,
no, I'm saying for you. When you were there.
Yeah,
you're a professional player. You were probably one of the top players over there, I would assume. Yeah. So what's the here? Basketball is huge, obviously. Right. So what's the celebrity level like?
Well, the news, the media, they want to talk to you a lot. The newspaper want to talk to you a lot as well. So if you go to a store sometimes, they'll be, hey, yeah, I saw you on TV. So sometimes it was like, man, let me make sure my hair is like done, and let me make sure I'm dressed decently because someone might see me. But it also was cool because it wasn't so much to where people are like running you down and you got to go hide. It wasn't like that. It was more so like you're a part of the community. So, hey, how you doing? Hey, I'm coming to the game. It was like that. So I would say that was a good way that I adapted. They invited me to a lot of events, a lot of team functions. And for me, that was probably the first time that I felt that the team really cared about like the togetherness and closeness. Like there was no egos. It was, hey, come to the restaurant with us. It wasn't like no division of like, okay, 3 guys go this way, 5 guys go that way, and 4 guys go that way. Everybody did everything as a team. So that was really cool for me, and that helped me to really adjust because it helped me to become more social. I was more confident in even approaching people. But when I went to Germany, I was a little bit different. I'll tell y'all why later. Mostly because of just the language. That was a huge thing for me, adjusting to that.
In Australia, what do they speak?
They speak English. They just have an accent, but they said that I had an accent, so I didn't get that. But I would go and do the radio and stuff like that. My mom would listen, and she would text me after, like, "Hey, that was really great, but how did you know what they were saying?" I said, "I've adjusted to this accent so much to where it's nothing for me." I mean, they pronounce their words differently. They say mate a lot, but they don't say mate. They say might. So it's like, what did you say? I asked a girl one time. She was playing. I was like, yeah, you're pretty good. How old are you? And she said, Ade. I said, what? I said, how old are you? Ade. I said, okay, hold up, like the numbers you're talking about. She was saying 18.
Ade.
And I was like, wow, like that's different, But they called me KG a lot of the times, or let's say Carl instead of Kyle. It's usually Carl, But it wasn't as huge of a culture shock as Germany.
Okay.
Germany was a bit different, I got there, and they took me out to dinner. And
how long did you do in Australia?
I did two years there.
And then you went to Germany?
Then I went to Germany.
Okay.
Yep.
What part of Germany?
It's called Idevis, which is in Lower Saxony. Lower Saxony is the state. A familiar city, you'd probably say that's about 2 hours from it is Hamburg.
Okay.
So Hamburg, Germany. Now that was a culture shock because they spoke German. So they, I get there and I was already tired from the plane ride, and it was like, yeah, we just practice tonight. And I was like, oh my gosh, they're gonna think I suck. They're gonna think I'm terrible. Went to practice and I did really well. But after practice, it took me to get food. So we went out to dinner, and I'm sitting at the table. Now imagine this. So all 3 of us are sitting here, and we're all speaking English. We can all communicate with each other. So imagine sitting here and you're hearing, and you're sitting there and you can't really engage in it because you don't know what they're saying. You can't laugh at a joke.
You know if they're talking about
yeah.
They wouldn't compromise. They wouldn't try to speak English. They're like, you here now, you got to learn this.
Well, here's the thing. They would speak English to me, but not to each other, because they say that it's weird to speak English to each other knowing that they speak German. They're like, yeah, it's weird if we do that. I'm like, really? But they could just flip the switch. Like, hey, Kyle, how's it going? I'm like, how do you do that?
Wow.
Like, that's crazy because, they teach English there, I believe, as young as kindergarten because it's a world language,
I think United States is one of the only ones that primarily focus on our language only.
Yeah.
We don't learn.
Absolutely. So because of that now, I know basically 3 languages. I'm not huge in Spanish or huge in German, but I know enough to get around. And for me, it was like, can I go to the store? I mean, I had to think about my every move. Should I go on the bus? Can I? Because at some point in time, it's going to involve a conversation. And what if they can't speak English? That was my thought. Right. So I got through that, and what I learned was once I would speak English to somebody, they would speak English back. And that was like crazy for me to understand, because I'm like, what if they don't know English? But pretty much everybody did, you know. And I learned a lot of, you know, phrases and numbers and right and left and up and down, stuff like that. I learned a lot, and it helped me to get around a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Germany.
Yeah.
Now this time you were 28, 27.
28, yep, because I was 26 and 27 in Australia. So.
And what year was that?
Germany was 2018, 2019.
Okay.
So I came back not long before the COVID stuff.
So you running through these different countries. You're a basketball celebrity, or you're a professional basketball player, and you're doing well in all these leagues. Do you ever ask yourself, how did I get here?
Yes. I had to think about that for a second. But yes, because I'm like, okay, I don't have to be in this situation. Like, it's not like I really had to be here, but it just lined up. Everything lined up with different parts, and it just kind of happened. You know, I look back and I was like, what if I would have stayed in fear and just stayed at home and just played in like rec leagues? Because that was the thing, you know, when I was fast forward, or matter of fact, rewinding, not fast forwarding. When I went back to like ABA time, a little bit after that, I'm playing in different leagues, like you know, rec leagues, and I'm like, man, I'm just playing against good competition. I was getting 25, 30, like every game, and I was like, I don't want to be a person that becomes a good rec player, because who really cares?
Right.
Like, you know, I think now people they try to look at being a rec player like, oh, well, you know, I'm great, you know, and God bless people that do that because they can't go somewhere, you know. God bless them. I don't have anything against those people, but I knew that I wanted more, and I saw a lot of talent in rec leagues, and it was like, well, why aren't you playing somewhere else? And it was always something that involved blaming somebody else. Pretty much every time. Every now and then they'll say, oh, well, you know, I started having a family or whatever. But for the most part, it was something. It was a coach. It was not having connections. It was not being dedicated. People actually admit to not being dedicated. They're like, oh, well, it's a lot, you know. And that's fine, because, you know, it's not built
for everybody.
Yeah, it is what it is, right?
Yeah, it's not built for everybody. But I just knew that I didn't want that to be me, because I would have looked back at that and say, yeah, I was a really good rec player. And I knew that I would have wanted more for myself. So I think that was what led to the determination of sending those 100 emails out. I did the same thing before I went to Germany. I'm sending out tons of Facebook messages and stuff like that. And I heard back from, you know, the Wattworms, and we were playing phone tag at first. And I had received a call, and I was at a family reunion out in Ipsy, and I was like, I gotta take this call. I know it's all overseas, long distance. I gotta take this call. So I talked to them, and they said, "Oh, yeah, family reunion. Oh, no problem." And you know, the rest was kind of history from there. You know, getting there, that was a culture shock with the language. Weather-wise, very similar to here, except it doesn't snow as much.
Okay.
It hardly snows like at all, actually.
How receptive are they to? How many African American brothers did you see over there?
Not a ton. They had a lot of Turkish people from Turkey. They had, you know, different nationalities. If you saw a black person, they were probably literally from Africa, because a lot of Africans did end up migrating there. But African Americans, you didn't see a ton of them. They were usually an athlete, or they were there doing something special, maybe on business or whatever. I think if you go to the bigger cities, you do see more diversity.
Were they open to you over there, would you say?
They were. I didn't have any issues in Germany. That's another place that I would go back to for sure. You know, they were very receptive. They were okay that I didn't speak English, which, you know, not everybody would feel that way, I would imagine. Like, some people are like, well, you're in this country, you got to speak, you know, German. But a lot of them were very receptive. I mean, I had people that were paying me to come to their house to have dinner with them. They were paying me to do that because I spoke English. So they said, if you come to our house, you're basically teaching us English.
Right.
So that was really interesting for me because I didn't expect that at all. I thought I was just going to go there, play basketball, talk to a lot of kids, talk to a lot of fans, and do things for the community. But
First game in Germany, 28 points, 9 steals.
Who did I learn from?
9 steals. That guy didn't have no habits, man. You took advantage of somebody. 9 steals, bro. You was like, I figured you out.
Yeah.
4 assists and 3 rebounds.
Yeah.
Recorded 43 points and converted 11 three-pointers in the win over the Timberwolves. 11 three-pointers in the game. That's Steph Curry-ish. That's like, you was killing them out there. You know what I mean?
The interesting thing about that was, so that first game, I was just kind of feeling myself out, and then there was a time in the game I come down and hit 2 threes in a row. And then I come down, as I'm getting ready to shoot it, my coach hollers to their team. He's like, you better get out there. It was so savage, man. And I made it. So I hit 3 threes in a row, end up with 28. That was one of the teams that did not respond to me as well before I went there.
Oh,
so I wanted to make
grind.
I wanted to make sure that again, when something lights a fire for me, I don't run from it.
Motivation is powerful.
It is powerful. It ignites something within me that just makes me go that much harder. Yeah. And I never can run from the fire. I've got to run to it. I got to feel it. And, you know, if I have to put it out, I'll put it out. But I'm not going to run away from it.
32.4 points a game he averaged. And that was in 2018. You scored 33 points in 1/2 in the game.
I did.
So, not to change the climate of the conversation, but we've talked about high school, we've talked about collegiate athletics, we've talked about ABA, we've talked about playing overseas. I haven't heard you mention you were not able to play due to an injury. How are you able to stay so durable throughout this path? I don't want to say luck. Yeah. I don't want to say you're Superman.
Right.
But I haven't heard you mention that you had some setbacks due to an injury.
Yeah.
Right? But you're putting up all-star numbers in any league. Yeah. Right? Yeah. The points, the assists, the rebounds, the games, but you haven't had to endure any setbacks. That means you're durable. Is it diet? Is it luck? Is it training? Is it a combination of all, or is it just you've been fortunate?
Definitely God, because I have had certain injuries usually in the off season that I was like, man, this isn't good, you know. But it's definitely been God, because I see a lot of players dealing with a lot of injuries.
Right.
And a lot of the injuries, you know, the few injuries that I have had, they were okay to play on and play through. So it was mental toughness as well, but a lot of the injuries that I had, they were never like on a 7 or 8 or 9. If I were to put a scale 1 to 10, as far as pain, they were never that high. It was like like maybe a 3, maybe a 4.
Okay.
But dieting, yes and no, because I love my pizza. I love, you know, stuff like that. I try to stay away from a lot of greasy stuff consistently. I do like burgers as long as they're cooked right, you know, fries, things of that nature. But staying away from pop, staying away from soda, because that definitely cuts your wind, and I think that can make you more injury prone as well as it gets into your bloodstream. I remember a time where I was drinking a lot of soda. I ran up and down the court 2 times, and you would have thought I smoked a cigarette. I mean, I was really, really tired. So I said, I don't want that to be me. I want to be as effective as I can for my team. One injury that I did deal with that started getting a little bad was towards the end of Germany. I had a partial Achilles soreness, and it was all because one day, this was not smart, y'all. I ran because I was really big on fitness. I ran around the city, and I was running in these shoes that you should never run in. They were shoes try to make a comparison. Let's say that you got those little slide-on shoes from Walmart or something like that. They're not made of good material. They're not gym shoes at all.
They're not for running.
They're not for running at all. I ran in those, and I know that that's what contributed to it. I know it 100%. So that one was about a 4 or 5. That started to get bad. So I just was treating it, and I would ice it and do Epsom salt. I would stretch it, and I'm thankful for YouTube then because again, it showed me different ways to deal with that injury as well. And that's a very good point, very good statement, because I know of people that are very injury prone and they deal with different things, twisted ankles, and I've never had broken bones, thank God.
And that changes the path of your career.
Right, exactly.
It does. Because in basketball, you're definitely isolated more. There's only 5 of you on the court on your team, and you're not wearing a helmet, so everybody can see it's you. Right. It's you that's out of shape. It's you that's messing up. Right. You know. And that's kind of another reason why I like playing basketball too. I like that pressure of being in that spotlight and having to perform. I look at it almost as a play or a musical. You know, everybody comes to the city. They're coming to see how you perform. They're coming to see a performance. So if you're not at the top of your game, well, what are you doing here? You know, they'll send you home. If you're not handling your business on the court, they will send you home overseas. And I thank God that that's never happened to me because I've always been, a student to the game. And
also, you've always been the scoring champion and the leader of the team. So,
but that comes from being a student to the game,
right?
I never was it's funny when you brought up the 11 threes. The game before that, I shot terrible. Now I ended up with 36 points still. Because I had a lot of points in the paint and stuff like that, but I shot terrible from 3. And during that time, we had what was called, it was like a early season break. So it was a whole month of no games. We still had practices and stuff like that. So I said, am I going to sit around here and think about that bad shooting performance? Now, I just had 36 points. I should be yes, I had 36, but not me. My mindset is I should be efficient in everything that I do. Mm-hmm. And I get this from my dad because my dad, he is one of my biggest supporters and critics. He's going to keep it 100 with me regardless. So I said, okay, I had 36 points, but I shot terrible from 3. So one of my good friends who happens to actually be in town from Germany, he's here in town. Wow. He had a key to a gym. And I said, look, man, I really need to come and put this work in. I'm not going to be sitting around here for the next month thinking about that bad shooting performance. So I was in there, I was shooting. I had my rebounders, my passers, and I came at that next game, hit 11 threes. And, I don't take working hard lightly. I think that if you really want to improve something, you can improve it. Even if you're not going to be the greatest in it, there's no excuse. You can improve it. You can go from being a 3 to a 5 or a 3 to a 4 even. Maybe a 3 to a 7 or a 10. But a lot of people, they don't want the process of the work because they don't want to feel what it feels like. Everybody says, I'm going to work hard. Oh, well, do you know what it feels like to have your lungs burning because you're so tired? You know what it feels like to have sore muscles, to where you have to stretch and you have to devote time to your diet and what you're putting in your body and making these sacrifices. A lot of people don't want that. They want what's convenient.
The highlight film.
They want the highlight. I'm going to go to practice because that's enough. I'm going to do all the drills. That's enough. I don't need to shoot any extra. I don't need to run any extra. I don't need to do anything extra. I'm just going to do the bare minimum. And I think that's what separates a lot of people in anything in life. They want to do the bare minimum. They want to do what's convenient. And that's why I said earlier, I think convenience has ruined this culture. You know, you're sitting in a drive-thru for 2 minutes, and you're like, where's my food? And you're mad.
Right.
You're mad about it. 2 minutes. You can't wait 2 minutes to get your food.
Right.
It's a part of the culture. So now that we want everything quick.
Everything is like this.
Yeah.
Everything.
So, exactly. So now we want everything quick, but everything quick is not great for you.
Right.
Because what does fast food lead to? Well, it leads to blood disorders and obesity and being overweight and diabetes and a bunch of other health conditions. You know, so a lot of times what's quick for us is not the best. Now, I'm not going to get into details of like, okay, obviously, if you're sitting down watching TV, you don't want to get up and change the channel every time. Like, that's good to have a remote control.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's good. But I just think that there has to be a line that we draw and say, okay, is what's convenient really the best thing for me? Because in a lot of cases, it's not. You know, we want to, I saw a commercial a few days ago for, it's like a little thing where you can sit on a couch and you can pedal. And they said, well, now you can work out without having to get up and do anything. I said, is this what we've come to, really? Like,
I don't want to work. I don't want to put too much work in, but I want to work out.
But I want to work out. Yeah. I'm like, wow, our culture, oh my goodness, like what is going on? And you got cars now that will drive you. I don't know about you, but I don't want to be in any space of my mental health where I say, you know what? I'm going to put my life and my safety on the line for technology. Go ahead, just drive me around. I'm going to take a nap. Go ahead and drive down the freeway. I'm going to take a nap. Like, that's crazy to me. Like, I want to be in control of the vehicle that I'm driving, you know.
It's definitely a different, you know, as technology comes,
yeah,
it's moving so fast. There's always going to be the positives.
That's
and
right.
then there's always the negative side of it that you can look at because it takes away so much I mean, like, as far as YouTube.
Yeah.
YouTube is great.
Yeah, it is.
Because it literally has everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
If you're looking for how to change the key fob battery on your car remote, you put it on YouTube. It's on there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's to replace the handyman. You don't need the handyman no more.
That's
but
right.
At the same time,
that's exactly right.
You want your son in the driveway shooting hoops instead of watching somebody on YouTube shoot hoops.
Right.
Our kids, this is a part, you don't have kids yet.
Not yet, no.
There's a thing where kids watch videos of other kids unboxing toys.
I've seen that.
They literally watch the new toy that comes out, there's a kid that's unboxing it. He goes through how it's packaged, how it's wrapped, and how to open it, how to put the batteries in. If the toy was really worth all the hype,
that's right.
It's good. But our kids are sitting there watching them play with toys. It does two things. By the time you get to the toy store, they know every toy and every new series and new edition that's out and how it works because they've been watching it on YouTube. But it gives them more virtual experience versus reality experience. Not in the driveway shooting.
That's right.
And in the driveway shooting is how you get the 3-point championship. 11 threes in one game.
Yeah. Right.
So with technology, it's always going to be the pluses, and it's always going to, as things advance, it takes away.
Absolutely.
Nothing's going to replace mom's good old home cooking.
No.
You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, you can go get some mashed potatoes now at the grocery store that you can heat up in 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
That do taste pretty good.
Sprinkle a little dust on it.
They are pretty close to the real thing. You know what I mean?
That's real. That's real.
And I've been building up your numbers.
Yeah.
So that we can arrive at this point here because in 2019, you led the league in scoring with 706 points, ranked first with 85 three-pointers in 18 games, and became the 18-19 scoring champion, averaging 39.2 points a game. You recorded 56 points in a 110-92 Cup game victory over the BTB Royals, a higher team in Lower Saxony, right? This is 18-19. In 2020, you were set to go play back in Australia for the Thunderbolts. COVID hits.
Oh, goodness.
COVID hits. we sitting at home one day, and it's like, the NBA season has been indefinitely postponed.
So wild.
NFL has been indefinitely postponed.
Major League Baseball.
Major League, there's no school indefinitely.
Yeah.
Nobody will be good. Oh, we're on shutdown.
Yeah.
Do not go to work. It was eerie in the streets. I remember one of the first times I went out was eerie. Nobody was out. The guy at the gas station was like,
"Stay away from me."
Because at that time, if you got the COVID, you was out of here.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where are you when COVID hits? Are you in the States? Are you overseas? And what was going on in life, and what went through your mind?
So in order to explain this, I'm gonna have to rewind a little bit. So, that game that you were talking about, remember I talked about lighting a fire?
56-point game he's talking about.
So they
I
did
had
not.
one of those on, I think 2K17 maybe.
Oh, there you go.
Scored like 58 in one game.
I'm sure you could do it.
It might have been
in real life.
16.
I'm sure you could do it in real life too. Like,
Yeah, against my son.
yeah.
4 years old.
It's crazy because, yeah, they didn't respond to my message either. So, and
So if you're listening out there, please answer this guy's messages, or he's coming to blaze you.
Right.
He will find you, and I will destroy you.
The motivation is there once you don't get back to it.
Answer his emails, people, please.
yeah, so it was crazy because nobody picked us to win that game. Everybody was like, "Look, y'all gonna lose," and I had already announced that was gonna be my last game. At that time, my grandmother, her health was declining, so I was like, okay, you know what? I just need to go home. I was at a mental state with my mental health of I just really wasn't in the best place.
So how long had you been in Germany at that point?
Oh, shoot. I was there from September, and this would have been June. Now, they sent me home for Christmas.
Okay.
So I spent like a whole month home, and that was really cool. But I just was kind of ready to go. There were a few things that I had wanted to kind of get back to. There were some things that could have been maybe a little bit better. I was just kind of used to being able to drive around and not getting chauffeured around, which that's cool. I don't mind getting chauffeured around. But I would do things like I would go to the park, I get on the swings, and I go swing. I mean, that was helping my mental health. I go running, I go ride the bike.
There?
Yeah, in Germany.
Okay.
Yeah. And I would go take walks. I mean, these are things that I wasn't really accustomed to doing a lot. So it really was something that I had to kind of adjust to, but I was ready to go. So we had the last game, and everybody there was great. All the people were great. Teammates, everybody that helped, all great people. I would absolutely go back to see them again for sure, or even play with them. But I was ready to go mentally, and I knew I was ready to go. So that game, I wanted to end on a good note. And then a couple of days later, I had gone to the airport, and I was out of there. So
Left them like that.
yeah, I wanted to leave on a good note, And I remember the crowd, everybody was kind of going crazy that game because they didn't expect us to win. So fast forwarding through there, after that, I went home, and her health was declining. So I was like, I didn't want to be gone while that happened. So she had made her transition, and that was tough for me.
You were there? You were in Germany when it happened?
No, I was actually back in America then.
Okay.
So she made her transition, and that was kind of tough for me because even though, she was dealing with her condition, it was dementia. I obviously wanted her to still be here. I wanted her to improve her health and all that stuff, but it was kind of a rough time. So the very next day after that happened, I had a tryout for a G League team. It was a workout with a G League team.
Okay.
And I was like, you know what? She would want me to go. So my dad took me there, and I performed really well. And, it's just funny how things happen because I I didn't hear back from them. And I guess they were looking for, post players or whatever. I'm like, just say that. Don't have me come to a workout and you're looking for a different position, especially after I performed. I did really well. And, not long after that, boom, COVID. I said, oh, so maybe that was why I didn't get on. Maybe that was why, whatever. So when that happened, oh, man. At first it was the stay-at-home stuff. Couldn't go nowhere. Couldn't go to the park to shoot.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I'm like, this is wild. Like, can't go to the park. So I'm sitting inside the house, and I'm eating a lot, and I was with my family a lot, and we were just ordering food. I mean, I was eating like...
bored. We was bored.
I was eating...
Couldn't go nowhere.
Now, I was eating a legitimate probably 4 meals a day. We had a great breakfast. I'm not talking about like, here's a little something. No, we had a great breakfast.
I learned new recipes. And we're going to try this out for breakfast.
Yep. Great breakfast, a great lunch, a great after lunch snack, then a great dinner. And then sometimes at night, it was like, I'm going to Taco Bell.
Yeah. Let me top it off.
Yeah. So you could arguably say I was eating like 5 times a day. Mm-hmm. And I'm sitting at home, and this is the first time in a while I legitimately got out of shape. Now, I didn't get big, thank God. I really didn't gain weight. But what ended up happening was I was so out of shape that I would be laying on my couch, and I'd make a sudden movement, and I'd pull a muscle. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, what is this? Mm-hmm. Like, this is absolutely ridiculous.
Felt like regular people for a minute. Like, hold on. I'm losing my superpowers.
Right. Well, I remember people saying like, oh, man, I'd be pulling muscles, doing that. I'm like, how is that possible? Well, I felt that. Yeah. I'm watching TV. I'm like, oh, my gosh, like, how am I pulling a muscle right there? This is crazy. So during that time, I used that time to start building my YouTube channel a little bit. I started making different videos and different clips, and I was just kind of ready to go to my next team. And at that time, man, it was difficult. That was another difficult mental health time, I think, for everybody, really, or at least for most people.
We're still feeling the effects of that.
Yeah.
Still not.
Oh yeah. So I had a lot of up and down moments. I had some really good moments. I had some moments where I was like really blah. And I think that if you used that time to be productive in any way, then you really came out winning. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. If you use it as a time to be so mad about what you can't control, then you probably lost some time. But you can always get that time back, if you decide to change your way of thinking now. I'm really big on that. So that was really tough because, again, I couldn't go play nowhere. I couldn't go to no other countries. They were all closed. Right. And, even playing here, it was like, it turned into after a while, like, hey, we're going to play over at this gym, but don't tell nobody. Right. Like, it was like a secret.
The underground.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And then I was playing in some of those leagues, and eventually they would shut those down again. And,
Did you ever experience COVID?
I actually had it a little bit more earlier. When it came. The weird thing was the loss of smell and taste. Yes. Because I'm like, how is my nose clear and I can't smell nothing? Mm. Like, that was really weird
and
to
then
me.
You start to feel when you're eating food.
Yeah.
Because when you taste food, half of it is you're smelling it as you're tasting it.
That's exactly right.
And so when you start and you're eating food, because I cook. So I'm seasoning food and I'm not tasting it. Yeah. And it just it's a weird sensation. Yeah. That's one of the weird that's how I knew this is something different.
Right.
This is So did you ever get vaccinated?
I did not. I did
not vaccinated.
No.
Okay.
No. And so when I had lost the taste and smell, I'm like, okay, now I'm just eating food. I'm not tasting like where's the reward in this? Like, what am I doing here? So I started looking up stuff and different ways to get it back, and people were saying how they got it back, in some days' time. I'm like, okay, because there was a really good place that apparently gets your taste and smell back that you can go to.
Well, where is that? Because I'm not 100%.
Oh, really?
I'm not 100%.
I'm going to have to hook you up with some of those places then. Yeah, it's called, I'm going to have to look it up. I'm not going to look it now, but it was something about Michigan Health something. Okay. And they just had a crazy way of doing it, you know. So I didn't get vaccinated because I just felt like I already had it. Now, here's the thing. I never went to get tested either. I just knew that I had it. I knew I'm a little bit sore, you know, and I just knew I said there's no reason for me personally to get it. I know everybody felt a different type of way about it, but then they started making all these rules and all these mandates, and I'm like, you know, everybody can make their own choice, and I would never come at somebody for doing something that I don't do. That doesn't make sense to me. But I don't want you making me do something. Even though you're not physically holding me saying, get it. You're saying, well, look, you can't make no money if you don't get that. Like,
so the leagues that were open had a vaccination policy.
Well, a lot of them weren't open for a while.
Right.
They're like, no imports. Like, none. I'm like, that sounds kind of racist. Like, I'm like, geez. You know, so a lot of them were closed. Then they went from closed to, look, you got to be vaccinated and you got to do a 2-week quarantine in a hotel. So I'm like, that's wild. Like, that's absolutely. And then they're testing you while you're at that hotel. So it's like, wait a minute. Do you believe in the shot or do you not? Like, why are you still testing me? So I'm
vaccinated, but I'm getting tested and treated like I'm not vaccinated.
Yeah.
There's a lot of unknowns, and that's why I asked, because still till now we know there's no right or wrong answer.
Right.
Everybody had at the end of the day, you're gonna do what was best for you in that situation. Everybody had a different situation.
That's the thing.
So
yeah, and I'm a firm believer, you know, because I tell people there's no one size fits all for anything.
Right.
Like, I don't come to your local gym and say, everybody in here's got to run a mile on the treadmill right now. I don't go to your Planet Fitness and say, go run a mile. Everybody. It's a mandate. You have to run a mile. Why? Well, because some people have knee issues. Some people have back issues. Some people don't have the stamina to run a mile.
Right.
So I can't try to say this is the one size fits all way for you to get healthy. It's to run a mile. Because for some other people, it might be to do something else, you know.
And I'm not going to make it.
Right.
Not today.
You would. I know you would.
I'm not going to make it.
Or even, if you did run a mile, it'd be at your own pace.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You see what I'm saying? I'm not going to say you got to run a mile in 6 minutes. Now people are going to be like, whoa, like, I can't do that, you know. So, yeah, like you said, man, a lot of unknowns, and it's just, it's unfortunate that a lot of people literally divided based upon what they believed.
Right.
I like yellow, you like indigo. Who cares? Who absolutely cares? And it's something that, you know, politics brings as well.
Yes.
And a lot of things are political anyway. You know, we had a lot of movements during that COVID time, even with the Black Lives Matter stuff, and you know, there are people that were divided over that. If you don't stand up for it, then you're racist and all that. And it's like, wait a minute, like, this is what the media does.
There's a lot of divisiveness used.
A lot of divisiveness.
Especially in that last presidential election.
Yes.
And I mean, honestly, I feel like it was in the last presidential term.
Yeah.
But you never felt so red or blue in your life.
Right.
You're red, and it could be people you cool with, you might work with them or hoop with them.
Mm-hmm.
And if you found out that he was on that side, hold on, now I'm looking at you different, bro.
Yeah.
Oh, you feel like, okay, you know.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of divisiveness used, and I think that, especially when we're going through something like COVID, that's a time where people really need to come together.
Yeah.
People are losing loved ones. People are displaced in their jobs. People are, you know, the world got turned upside down, and then we're pitting ourselves against one another.
Exactly, because you had the people, you had so many different groups. You had the people who actually had people that actually died from COVID. You had people that died with COVID, but it was marked as of COVID, which that's a whole nother discussion. Then you had people who didn't deal with any of that, but they might have lost their business that they've worked hard for 20 years. Exactly. So everybody felt offended for different reasons, and everybody felt mad for different reasons. But it was the same reason that they were mad about, but it was different.
You ever got in the elevator with somebody and you don't have on the mask, They just
mask.
give you the Now, if you lost a couple loved ones and it was due to COVID because they caught it some way,
absolutely,
and they're out of here, then you like, why aren't we all wearing masks to protect each other? But if you don't, and you know, I had COVID, it wasn't that bad on me. You know what I mean? And I'm just not in the mask mood today. Man, you getting that stared out, bro. Like, oh, for real?
Oh, yeah.
You won't be in my space without, you know.
It was based on experience, really. However you felt was kind of based on your own personal experience. And there were a lot of people at the time, they were really big with the mask. I mean, remember when COVID first happened, everybody spraying down their groceries and you come in the house, like, stay away, hey, take all those clothes off, throw them in the laundry, you know, and then over time it was like, okay, you don't need gloves anymore because it doesn't stay on surfaces. Okay, you don't need this anymore. You don't have to wear a mask outside. Just wear it when you go in the store. And, you know, I think a lot of frustrations didn't necessarily come from actual COVID. It came more so from the restrictions, because the restrictions changed a lot. And some people, like, for example, for me, if I wore a mask for a long time, my acid reflux would start acting up again. So for everybody, it was different reasons. It wasn't just like, oh, screw you, I don't want to wear a mask. Like, some people, it really felt terrible. I mean, we were not built to walk around with masks, or else God would have gave us a mask connected to our face. You know, so it affected a lot. You know, you couldn't see people smile. That's a big part of the human experience that a lot of people don't talk about, is people's facial expressions. You know, imagine right now if all of us were just sitting here like this. You know, everybody looks mad. Everybody looks like they're not in the mood to
So that's a natural thing. When you when you walk past somebody, you smile and give a nod, and that's just a transaction that happens.
Exactly.
Subconscious.
Yeah.
You don't even really think about it that much.
Right.
But you experience that all day.
That's right.
Versus seeing somebody like this. All day. You know,
absolutely.
There's no.
Absolutely. And because it was so, oh my gosh, it was so dynamic. It was so changing. One day it was this, the next day it was that. One day it was this. Remember people were taking toilet paper and stuff? Remember that?
Yeah.
I mean,
why was that? I always wondered that. Why did that? The world is going to end.
Fear.
COVID is coming.
Yep.
You could not find a role. Why is people's basic instinct to go buy a lifetime supply of toilet paper?
We, as people, are not going to give up our comfort.
Yep. That's so true.
Right? And your biggest comfort is food.
If worse came to worse, though, I could get in the shower, though, right? Like, if I didn't have to, like,
that's what some people were doing, by the way. I did hear that. Some people were doing, they were like, look, I just use the bathroom. I'm going to go take a shower.
I mean, no, I'm saying, but
people
you
not
couldn't
giving up
find toilet paper nowhere.
Well, here's the question: why were if it was over a sickness, then why were they not getting vitamins? Why were they not getting supplements? Why were they not getting orange juice? Why
there was a lot of that going on too.
Yeah,
I think that was the elderberry rush.
Elderberry,
and the what's the other one? Elderberry,
vitamin C, zinc.
No,
is it a plant?
It's like we had it and looked like an applesauce form.
Sea moss.
Sea moss.
Oh, sea moss. Okay, yep.
Sea moss, elderberry, things like that. We have one cousin who was very into that type of stuff, and she was making up this stuff and sending it out to us.
Yeah.
And so I mean, probably not as much. Like, there should have been no vitamins available for anything.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
You would think.
But there was no toilet paper.
Right. So I actually. And I'm so glad we're talking about this. I'm going to go into the media here because I blame the media for a lot. I think that the media, they sensationalize a lot of things that they shouldn't.
Absolutely.
And one thing I'll say, make sure I'm going to say this twice to y'all. The media never provides closure. They only change the narrative. I'm going to say it again. The media never provides closure. They only change the narrative. The media is not going to come out and say, COVID's done. It's over. Everybody throw a party. They're going to go from COVID to Ukraine. And then after that, it's going to be something else.
Will Smith.
Oh, I'm going to tell you something about that. People share the Will Smith slap more than their own friends' businesses on Instagram. It was so ridiculous. I'm like, y'all still talking about this? Your friend has a great business. You don't share nothing from anybody that you know, but you sharing that slap. So the media, they love to keep you distracted. And here's the thing, it's always negative, whether it's CNN or Fox, and there's some that are worse than others, but it's always going to say breaking news in red letters, which is alarming. It's going to keep you in fear. They say fear sells. Well, why does fear sell? Why doesn't goodness sell?
Right.
Why doesn't happiness sell? Why doesn't faith sell?
Right.
So the media does, I don't want to say a great job because I don't want to give them a compliment for it, but they do a masterful job of keeping people distracted, keeping them talking about certain topics that don't even affect their personal life or their finances. You know, Will Smith slap, Will Smith slap, Will Smith. I mean, it was unbelievable.
Will Smith had a bad day.
That's right. Yeah. And you know what? They were talking about that at a time more than Ukraine and Russia. So now that the COVID numbers have gone down tremendously, they're not even going to even bring up, oh, by the way, the numbers are down. They're going to say, oh, you know what? Nuclear missiles. Anything to bring fear. Remember back in the day it was Y2K. Remember that? Everybody was looking at midnight, looking at the lights. Oh,
not even that far back, because the media can absolutely control how we think and what we think about.
Yeah.
It was a couple months ago. They said it was going to snow like a ridiculous amount. I think they said like up to like between 12 and 16 inches.
Really?
They canceled school for the next 2-3 days. I have pictures on my phone of going to the grocery store. The shelf